All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to start this evening with our road and township budget hearing, and we're going to start with the roll call.
Trustee Sewell?
I'm here.
Trustee Ball?
Present.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart is absent, and Supervisor Cox.
Here, and just want to mention, Ashley did want to join us by phone. Her flight was moved, and she was unable to do that. So, anyway, next item on the agenda is the Township Road District public hearing, and we'll start with public comments regarding the Township Road District budget and appropriation ordinance. And our annual budget, just so everybody knows, runs from April 1st through March 31st. So we're already in that budget time frame. But it always has to be approved by, I believe it's July the 1st, basically before that.
End of June.
End of June. So if there's any comments on that, and then we'll bring up Kathy. All right. Oh, yeah, sure. And this is just on the roads, because you'll have basically two different times to speak.
Scott Rayo, 205 Westview. I just want to say that our Township Road Department is exemplary. They do a wonderful job. They're great ambassadors to the citizens, and Kathy's doing a tremendous job.
Scott?
Anybody else? All right. If not, maybe Kathy?
I don't want to go over my budget line by line because they've been out for a month and I'm sure you guys have had a chance to review it all. But I do have to say my office salaries and my road salaries have both gone down a little bit. One of our employees that retired last year, we replaced him with an employee, but he's at a much lower rate because he's new, following our union contract. So the only other thing I have to say is don't be surprised if I have to come up here and raise gas prices or anything like that.
Come on, Kathy.
Your guess is as good as mine in all this. We raised it up from 50 to only 65,000, and we hit 50 last year. We're just gonna have to go and see how that goes with that. I really, yeah. We have extra money in contingencies if we need it. We just don't know exactly what it's gonna be. Same with, our maintenance, everything skyrocketed. I do know though that I figured in there, Chris Brothers, we've got bids from them already. I try to get the bids before the budget so I know if I can work it in or not. And have pricing on what we're gonna do for some roads. One of the roads we're doing, Barber Court, will be reimbursed to us by MCT because it's in conjunction with their bike trails. So we will be getting most of that money back once we get out there. So I figured, as good as I could. And like I said, we've got a lot of question marks and what ifs. And I've got trucks down right now. One's been down for 4 months, can't get a part for it. Can't get a new truck, can't get a lot of things right now. So anyway, like I said, I tried to work the best I could with it. If you have any questions for me.
Okay. Everything's fine. All right. And the way the agenda reads too, just so everybody knows, so we have our open discussion now, and then we'll go into the township budget. There'll also be some public comments that you can make, and then after this, no votes will be made. After this, you'll be able to make comments again in our next meeting. Before I move on real quick, because I was in such a rush, I just want to make sure that camera's rolling. Just for Is it?
I don't see where it's.
Let's see. Yep.
Okay.
It is. Okay. God forbid we don't have the camera on. Well, it goes on our website, so. Okay. Next item on the agenda, if there's any more discussion on the roads portion right now, if there's not, we'll move on. No, thanks, Kathy. Okay. So then we'll start with the township budget public hearing. And if there's any public comment on this, you can please step to the mic, and then I'll speak, and then I'll call our assessor up to speak as well, and then we can have an open discussion on that as well. If there's any comments? All right. And just so you know, this budget has been posted for the last month on our website. And I don't want to bore everybody with the line by line like Kathy said either, but I'm just going to give you the basics and allow you to ask questions. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Paletti to explain his requested amount within my budget that I'm presenting to you tonight. Then during the regular meeting, when we are voting to approve or not approve, here's how it's going to work. And I told each trustee individually this as well. If any trustee wants to make a change to any number in any line, you can make a motion for that change. I want to let you know, though, I'm not going to be seconding it. This is what I'm putting in front of you. If there is a second, then of course we'll have a discussion, and then there'll be a vote on that proposed new number, okay? First of all, when we started, the overall township budget was over $2.1 million. Last year, we cut the overall budget by over 20% without even touching the assessor's line item. This year, I've been able to lower it even further to $1,099,000 without any reductions at all from the assessor. This is another 7% overall reduction. This after we cut the tax levy, the most in Collinsville Township history last year. We are saving money for taxpayers, but the services are actually the same or getting better. So let's go with the budget here, because there are a few changes from what I presented to you last month. Of course, page 1 is just what it is. Page 2 has some overall numbers. So if we could, let's jump to page 3. In page 3, there's a pretty big change from last month, and that is on the office salaries. And it jumped to $260,000. It's about a $50,000 increase. And the reason is, I took that money from general assistance and put it into the office salaries, because we all agreed and we believe that all that general assistance money should be spent on assisting the folks who need it, and not so much on ourselves. So that salary has just been moved just as the office salary, because she does work in other areas of the office as well.
It's really just a correction on allocation, right?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm. And so that is an increase in that from last month and over year to year. Also, our maintenance and service building, that's a pretty big increase. Last year we only spent $5,000. This year I had budgeted $20,000, and I believe that that our maintenance, we do a great job around here, and that salary is going to come out of that line item. Last year, before, it was coming out of a different line item. So again, same thing, Matt. It just moved spots, okay?
Just correcting where we needed to.
That's right. Everything else, I looked at where we spent last year and where we are. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip over the assessor's part, and he can explain that. I'll move to, just briefly, page 5, our audit. Last year, if you remember, we had to do 2 audits, and that cost quite a bit of money. This year, we'll just have to do 1 audit. And so that's down about $10,000 from last year. Okay, that's a $10,000. I'll skip ahead to, everything else is pretty much the same as far as IMRF. It's where we had spent, Social Security, going to where we spent last year to next year, to this year. And then, so here's where a big change is on page 7, our general assistance. Last year, we budgeted right around $150,000, okay? This year, we're budgeting $45,000, and you'll see the administration is only $5,000, and in home relief, it's $40,000. Now, I actually don't think that we're gonna spend that, because a lot of the money comes from the county now. Now, if things change, we have money there to help those folks in general assistance.
Basically, what you're saying is, before, we were, like we had talked about and you had mentioned in previous meetings for the longest time, we're spending the majority of the money that was allocated for salaries
Yes.
versus where it should go. Now we're just correcting all of that and then adjusting it to make sure that all of these are falling in the right bucket.
That's right, absolutely. Okay. The next 2 pages are breakdowns of the general assistance, and you'll see on page, I believe it's actually page 9, you'll even see it, where it has the breakdowns of it, $40,000 going to the home relief, okay? And then before that, it's the $5,000 in administration, so then finally on page 10, it kind of breaks out all the numbers. With the assessor's 485 ask, okay, that is 1,584,000, all right? I got 1 million, and then that's how I got my 1,099,000. If you take 485 minus the assessors, that's what's 1,099,000. But the cost have shifted, so we only really saved 26,000 on that portion from year over year. But on the next, that's when you will see, again, the general assistance really dropped. And so overall, it's 1,769,000, overall still down another 7% from year to year, from last year. Okay?
And that's just readjusting, no cut.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's not touching Pete's at this moment. Okay? Do you guys have any questions for me on my portion that I presented so far?
So we are expecting to eventually get the slot next door.
Yes.
Where does that fall in this budget
Great
line
question.
items?
Okay, so go to page 3, okay, and senior center capital outlay. I have budgeted $240,000 in that, and then we also have the it's under donation expenditures, $60,000. Okay, so that's $300,000. That $60,000 is a donation. And just so you understand, we're hoping, fingers crossed, Jim and I, we applied, we're hoping to get a $175,000 grant. My point is, we still have to budget to spend that, then we get reimbursed.
No, I was just gonna say that in that capital outlay, was there any adjustment to that, or that's something that we already have in place as a contingency?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, and the thing is, once we get this project done, my goal is still this year, that will come off next year. You know, so that will be a big expenditure that will come off.
So my general estimations is between the lot and the construction and the engineering, we're looking at 3.25. So is that all budgeted in there?
Yes, and we also have some other areas under building and stuff that we could add, that we could use that money out of that budget line item.
I just want to make sure that we got
Yeah, I
enough to
understand.
cover
Mhm.
the lot, the engineering,
Right, yeah,
and construction.
right, and some of that cost, just so we know too, has been in last year's too.
Yep.
Some of the costs from Oates and Associates.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
so, let me ask you this question. The grant money,
Mhm.
would we receive that grant money during this fiscal year?
The way I understand it is yes, and I asked our accountant, and he couldn't be here tonight, but I asked our accountant, I said, shouldn't we put that into expected revenues? Because you see in this budget, it has actually revenues. And he said, well, you could, but it's best not to. Even though they've given us the green light, the county board has to vote on it still. But the way it's gonna work, Brad, is they're going to write us the full amount of the check. If it's 125 or if it's 175, they're gonna write us the full amount, okay? And then every year, we used to apply for a $25,000 grant. So now we're not going to be applying for that for up to 7 years. All of it goes towards that for the next 7 years, which is good because that's what we need. We don't need other things around here, and we can fund those things ourselves.
And we would track something like that, like a win percentage, right? We don't know if we're gonna have it for sure or not.
Right.
Once we know the vote's positive, then we can put it in
Oh,
the
yeah.
forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be an adjusted revenue line
Yeah.
Mhm.
once a vote has been.
Yeah. So, that's all I have. But like I said, a big portion of my budget is the assessor's portion of it. And the way he does it is he sends a request to me asking for an amount. And so if I could call Mr. Paletti, our assessor, to the mic, and he can explain his deal.
Thank you. I'll try to make this very short. I'm not going to go through all the line items that, as obviously most of our money is being spent in salaries and not for other things. We currently have 6 people working with an allocation for 7. We will likely be going back to 7, but probably not until at least November or something like that, because this just doesn't work out for us for starting a training situation. And again, as I've said many times, it's a 5-year training program because of what we do. It's been, I will say that basically we started out looking at probably a $498,000 budget this year. And we got it back down to essentially the same as it was last year. I think slightly cheaper, in fact, up by a few $100s. I will tell you that while on the surface it looks like one of the more expensive places around to do this business, we, as on a appraisal or assessment basis, accomplished, because the county does keep tracks of how many that you change in that. And there are county records for that. We are by far the cheapest, about half the price of Edwardsville Township roughly, and cheaper than even more so than Granite City, Alton, and Wood River. So I think we're very, very efficient at what we do, and that's because I like to have my people trained to go out in the field. They all know what they're doing, and also that way we can also eliminate problems of misinformation going to the public, and that which has been a major problem, especially sometimes from the county, believe it or not. So that's pretty much most of it's going to be tied up in salaries with insurance, and that's really the second thing. So
I have a few questions, and I'm going to hand these to the board. And I've been kind of communicating with you by email, and I'm really hoping that you can explain, and then I think it would make all of us feel better. I'm just going to give a couple here. Let's see. I want to give you one. This is there. I should have another, hold on. Let's see, 16, 6, here we go. So my question is, and then you guys can chime in and help discuss, and this is just a discussion. So the first thing, because I have received a lot of calls from mostly friends and stuff, my taxes went up. Why did my taxes go up? And they want to know. And so there's a thing on your tax bill, and it's the first portion on the left after it says what your house is assessed at, and it's called a multiplier. And that's basically, to make it simple, and you can correct me if I'm off, but this is my basic analogy, is if, Matt, your house is assessed at $100,000 and they sell it for $110,000, they're 10% off. Brad, if your house is assessed at $100,000 and they sell it for $95,000, they're 5% off. All right, my point is they take all of the assessments and the house is sold to come up with the actual number, and that's the multiplier. So then the county takes whatever your house is assessed at, the most recent assessment, and then multiplies it by that number. Out of 24 different townships, we were 22nd place. There was only 2 worse higher than us.
What's that mean, though?
It means that all of the tax bills, whatever your tax assessment was, it went up by 4.81%. And that also affects seniors, correct?
But doesn't that mean that if that multiplier was 1.00, that 4.8% would already be in the actual assessment? And so your taxes would actually be the same?
No, what I'm saying is, yeah, so you want a 1.00. That's and nobody has a 1.00. And so it's just a gauge of how the assessments work. I'm not saying I want to be in first place.
let me cut in here. First of all, it is not a gauge of how assessments work. It is strictly there for one reason: allocate school district funds across the state school district funds across the different jurisdictions, jurisdictions, okay? Second, it is far from as simple, and I think both Matt and Clint, and our wonderful Mr. Achenbach over there, because he's a musician like I am, and Jim. I've showed them how it works. It's not on a 1-year average, it's a 3-year average. You can never guess ahead of it. There's no way. But there's also a Supreme Court ruling that has said that if you cannot be at 33 1/3, then what you need to do is try your best to equalize, because equalization is more important than being at 33 1/3. Now, the problem becomes you cannot guess 33 1/3. You can't work it out because, number one, the mix of properties that go into that number is very, very, it's not just, it's all what they call arm's length sales outside of farmland, but you won't have a relative sale in it, you won't have a forced sale in it of any kind like that. It's going to be what they call, what they define, and I don't always agree with some of their definitions on some of these, or some of the ones they choose, but what they call arm's length sales. Those all go in. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a single family house or a industrial building or a apartment building or whatever else. They're all lumped together, and all of those rise and fall at different rates.
So Pete, just a quick question. That's industry standard, correct?
That's the way it's, I don't know if I want to call it industry standard, it's Illinois standard. Because I have.
But all of these townships are playing by the same rules.
They're all playing by the same rules. Now, the thing I do differently is I think equalization, fairness between property, house values is more important than trying to hit 33 1/3. And I've been doing this for years and years and years and years and years, is we look at what, we keep track of these, what we have as our level of assessment in our township all the time. We're probably one of the few townships that do. I don't know of any other township in Madison County that does, but we do, because it gives us two things. It tells us where we have a problem arising in some subdivision. Like right now, we know that older homes are going up at 8% since this COVID thing started, but the newer homes are going up at 13%, and we keep track of that. I don't know of any other township that does that.
But my question is, to make it simple.
Done yet. So what we try to do is that when we reassess things, we don't reassess at 33 1/3. We go back and we reassess at whatever our level of assessment is for that year, so that we are ahead of the curve on that multiplier, and so that Collinsville Township isn't paying an unfair share.
My question is though, if, like Mr. Gunther said, everybody plays by the same rules, okay? It's like, I always come up with these analogies. We're having a cake baking contest. Everybody gets to bake a cake. Every assessor gets to bake a cake. And we bring it to a tasting contest, and we can say, well, we put all these special ingredients in it. We did all this special thing. But then when it comes to the judging, we got 22nd out of 24. Are you saying, my question is, are you saying that it's better to be at a high multiplier than not?
I would say so, because if I got a negative multiplier, you're overpaying.
But what I'm saying, you want to be accurate. You want assessments, you want to be accurate.
I am accurate for my level of assessment.
But not according to the report card. That's what I'm saying.
That's not a report card as far as I'm concerned.
That's the only thing that
No,
we're
it is
judged
not
on.
a report card. If you look at the mathematics, and I've showed it both to Clint, showed it to Jim, showed it to Matt, I will be glad to show you. I think I've told you this before, that it's not a report card. Mr. Sewell wants to come in, we'll be glad to show you how it all works. It takes about an hour to explain it.
But my question is for a
But that's
regular
not-
taxpayer. That's the only thing that matters on their tax bill. Yeah,
My concern is the value of those properties. If it's a $100,000 house in my township, I want it on for the same amount of money as every other $100,000 house, as best as I can do it.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's the best you can do. And that's what's required by the state Supreme Court.
Okay, so my other question is that, so we know the multiplier. My other question is, I just added 2, and I sent out some, just to gauge where the other townships are. Edwardsville, we've used Edwardsville before. because, and the reason I like Edwardsville, because it's one of the only townships that has about the same number of parcels to actually assess. That's 16,290 parcels. I ask, how many full-time employees and staff to perform the duty? That's 4. What's your budget to perform this duty? It's 231,000, or ours is 485. My question then to all the townships, what do you do differently? What do you do special? And every one of them said, we do a great job. Every one of them. My question, and the same thing when I said, what do we do special that other townships aren't doing to justify that high price?
So first, let me back up and say, is it based on your email that we received, right? I understand, and we've had previous discussions that it's not apples to apples.
It's never apples to apples.
So
We have a higher number of taxable parcels percentage-wise than
And I think
Edwardsville
that's
does.
the-
We have the highest number percentage-wise of any township, of the big townships.
And I think that's the rub,
That's-
is like, what's that mean to the
Yeah.
average
That's
person,
part of it,
right?
but also buried in there, the information that you can get from the county, it's the number of parcels actually changed and assessed. If you look at that number that we're doing, divided into our budget, and do the same thing with Edwardsville's number, we are about half the cost of Edwardsville.
Why are they not assessing all, because you're saying they should be assessing more properties than what they are.
They should be turning 4,000 a year, they're turning somewhere around 700.
How are they getting away with it?
Nobody's called them on it yet, but I think that's coming from the state. It has to be done.
Well, you're the one that was emailing me, and so.
Yeah, I called yesterday. Clarify for me. The quadrennial, you're supposed to assess 1/4 of your parcels every year. And I'm looking at these other townships. Namioki, they have 5,300 parcels. They get 1/4 of that done with 2 people.
Wait a minute, let's stop, let me back up a second. Not all of them are doing, we all require to do a quadrennial. The big ones do what they call a rolling quad.
Okay.
They're probably a single quad. They only do it still in 1 year. When I started, we were supposed to do it all in 1 year.
Okay.
So it's not apples to apples, is what
It's not apples to apples. Also, it's a totally different kind of a economic mix.
And explain that a little bit more, Pete.
Yeah.
You explained it for us, for Clint and I understand, but what's that
The
mean?
housing values are considerably different between Namioki and here.
I agree with
If
that.
some of their stuff, they got more industry than we do, but the industry is generally handled strictly, and whether it's Edwardsville Township, I'm not so sure about, but I'm pretty sure it's working the same way there. But Granite City Township, Alton Township, Wood River Township, where they had the big industries, those were all negotiated values between the county and the company.
I've
And
heard things like that.
yeah, that's a lot of parcels.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We're pretty much, we have mostly racetrack. The racetrack's the only one we have that, and only because it spreads across the township line that the county takes care of. The rest of them we all do ourselves.
And to that point, I noticed on the Jarvis Township, when I reached out to them, and that's why I have it highlighted here, they say that they turn over, I find it more cost effective for our township to pay the county per parcel for the work done per parcel in years past. I would budget approximately $3,500 for the year for the quad work. 87% of their parcels are residential. What is our percentage of residential? Because that's what probably, like you say, eats up
I
the
don't
most
really
time.
know. I don't keep track of it.
And that's a pretty high percentage of residential properties to assess, would you say?
I think
Well,
we have
let's-
around 13 to 14,000
Mhm.
is residential out of the 16,590.
Right. All I'm ever trying to do, just so everybody knows, okay? What we promised as this board is a better township, to get the very best for the citizens. That's it. Let me just finish. All I'm saying is when we get our tax bills, and even if we lowered ours by the largest amount ever as far as tax levy, okay? And even if everybody kept theirs the exact same, because of that multiplier, your tax bill was raised 4.8%. That's how it works.
That is not how it works.
Well,
If you keep, what makes it go up is not the multiplier. What makes it go up is the amount levied.
That's what
by
I'm
all
saying.
these different taxing organizations, not the multiplier.
no, what I'm saying is if, let's just say if everybody levied the exact same year over year, and there was a 1.00, then your taxes would stay the same. My point is,
If I
that
had, if
multiplier.
your taxes would stay the same if they levied the exact same
Exact
every
same.
year,
That's
and
right.
I had a 10% multiplier.
It would go, but what I'm
No, it
saying.
would not go up. It would stay the same.
What I'm.
You're mixing multiplier, you're mixing tax assessment, and you're mixing things together that don't fit together like that.
So we want a high multiplier, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying you want a high
I think he's
multiplier.
saying it really isn't as
It
big of an
depends.
issue as you and I might have thought it was.
How does it depend?
If
What
I-
do you want? What's the end game? His
I
end
want-
game, his end game is to not have a huge gap. It's to balance that out across the years, right? The multipliers.
Yeah,
Correct, Pete? I mean,
Correct.
Yeah, he wants to have a calm water instead of this.
And last year, did we have a calm water, or did we have this?
Let me tell you part of the problem. Around 2007, 2008, mainly because I was doing some private work up in northern Illinois, I saw the collapse of the housing market up there. When I came back here, I said, this is coming home to us fast. And we started reducing assessments immediately. I even had some arguments with my own staff over it, but I said, this is what we're doing. We were ahead of the curve because of that information. That helped us, in a sense, to keep ahead of that curve, because we did get hit hard. Everybody got hit hard. And the house values went down back in 2007, 8. If you go back and you look at your assessments, it took us 3 years or so to get through the township or whatever, but we did as quick as we could do it, and we reduced a lot of assessments. That ends up, and it can take this many years to come back and bite us a little bit, in the sense that the way these multipliers work, they were still piling positive multipliers on us when they should have been piling negatives on us. And then they finally didn't even, we got some zeros, 1.0, we thought we should have got maybe even a slight 1.01 or something, simply because our data would indicate that. But, so part of this is coming back from that situation.
Can I add one
Does-
more thing? Can I add something?
Sure.
If anybody goes to the board of review and it goes over $1 million, they add that part back onto our multiplier also. It's not just the state coming in, the county comes in and adjusts also,
But they do that for every township,
yes.
How many have $1 million?
Edwardsville. I mean,
If you stop and you look at the number of people they're using in Evansville, and you work out the numbers and the parcels, I don't even see how they can do a quad. I know she's new up there, she probably hasn't been through a true quad. A true quad is actually reassessing the property, not just looking at it, not just taking pictures of it, not just leaving it the same. It's actually recalculate what it's worth.
I'm fine, and I'm gonna move on. I was giving the board, I was asking the questions that I've been asked.
I just have one more question, Pete, and I think it's pertinent to the conversation. In your email, you explained the difference between Collinsville and Edwardsville and why the numbers were different. I don't know if you touched on that, maybe I missed it, but in that email specifically, I think it was related to last year and the total number versus, the total number of Edwardsville's assessment versus the total number of Collinsville Township.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, and, I don't remember quite fully the email, so.
Okay.
I'll be
It
sure.
was us
within our-
changing 3,000 3,000
Yeah, we're
parcels
changing
versus their
3,000.
700 parcels.
Compared to their,
700 and something.
that's what I was getting
Yeah.
at.
And it's
And
not-
so what does that mean for us?
Yeah, what do you mean by change? You're changing the assessment, right?
That means, that's the number, that's the ones they actually went out and reassessed.
That's a
Now, that
touch.
could be
That's
a
a-
brand new house, it could be an addition. I would say with those numbers, it's most likely new homes and additions being put on, more than anything. That's not really, to me, I don't think it really makes it to a reassessment. I should say, the other thing we do, I don't know of any other township that does this, but I think it's very important to do, is that if you don't you get your assessment and you think it's too high, as long as, we've got some time, we get a certain time frame. You come to us and say, I think my assessment's not right. We actually will go back out and look at that house. We would like to walk through because 90% of the time, it isn't the outside, it was what's on the inside that we know. And a lot of times, probably far more than we don't, we will actually lower those assessments once you see what the problem is, because we don't know until we can get inside. And we do that for anybody. I don't care who you are, I don't care what party you are, I don't care anything about. All we want to do is try to get those right. Now, that takes time, it takes a crew to do it, and it's time consuming. And also, with the other advantages is if we can lower that for you, that means you do not have to go to, these taxpayers do not have to go to the board of review. And today, if you go to the board of review for your house, you have to get an appraisal. And if you're a corporation or an LLC, you have to also hire a lawyer. You can't represent yourself anymore. Now, that's a savings that will never show up anywhere that can, how do you document that?
So back to the 700 versus 3,000. Why are they, if they're supposed to be the same, why are they different?
I don't know. I don't like to speak about other townships if I
Understood.
can help it.
No, I just
But I
wanted-
really don't know. I know it's historically been that way because one of my best friends was the assessor of, in fact, he was the one that got me to, I worked with his wife at the courthouse and he got me to run for office, or her and him did. And they've always had a budget problem, quite frankly. And I don't know why they're.
I mean, the question for us then is why is that number the way it is?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
And I don't think if you look at the amount of employees, the amount of time involved and everything else, that there's no way they can, I don't feel there's any way they can ever do it
All right.
with that numbers.
I got a point I'm gonna make. So in other words, we're spending almost 500,000 to be exact. We know if they put lights on their shed. We know if they put carpeting in their basement. We know if they've added cement around the back of the house. Now, knowing all that and making these changes to the assessed value, how does that contribute to our revenue for the year? Because we assess a property tax to fund what goes on here in the township. How close do we have to be to the exact fine amount? And, I talked to this one guy, he says, you know what? I don't even care if a guy's got lights in his shed.
Neither do we.
Then what's with all this being so fine?
We're
and
not-
going back out and changing all these.
We're looking at the main things that contribute to value. In the
Right.
concrete in the back porch, the old shed buried back there. If you put a new swimming pool on, we're probably going to charge you the price that it costs you to build a swimming pool, because if we look at the contributory values, that takes training and takes a lot of, stuff to
But
look for.
what you're saying is, the difference between what you do and what they do is you're doing a more thorough assessment. And I'm just curious if the residents of Collinsville Township are feeling that that's worth $200,000 extra being taken out of their pocket collectively.
I don't think we have a choice, because I think it's required by law what we do.
Then you're saying all the other townships are breaking the law?
I would say I would rather be in our position than their position.
You would.
I think.
I'm here to represent these people, all these people out here. If you want it, do that for your property. But my property, I don't think I need it.
I try to treat everybody equal.
I know you do, Pete. I don't wanna sound, I just think we're spending too much money on the work you're doing. That's
But
really what
my-
it comes
my
down
question
to, from
is-
my point of view.
But per parcel, we're cheaper. And that would be my question is, what work are we doing versus what work are they doing? Have we seen an apples to apples comparison of
Okay.
the services line for line? What are we doing and the costs associated with each of those services?
That's what we need to learn for this next year.
Well, if we're not, then how can we make that judgment? If we
And
don't
that's-
have that information, how can we make
All
that
right,
judgment?
you're right. All right.
And that's what,
That's what
I
we gotta
don't know
learn for
each
next year.
business enough.
that's what we as a board, because that's what we promised, that we want the best for our folks,
And
all
we're
right?
gonna get to
You're
know that.
absolutely correct,
so-
so we need to be informed.
So you
Before
as
we
the
can make-
supervisor need to
Yes.
drive this project forward and be ready to have this full discussion with all the facts and data come next
Absolutely.
year.
Oh, absolutely, but, and that, I just hit the surface
Yeah.
with
Well,
asking the questions.
I think every one of us is kinda new.
Right, but what
No,
I'm
so
saying
people
is,
say-
And that's my point is, we're putting our
Yeah,
assessor
right
under
here.
fire with information that we don't know.
no, but Matt, we do know this. We do know this. There's some basic information that we do know. We do, to Brad's point, we do charge a premium. We charge the most.
For what?
All I'm saying, take all that away.
Is it a
We-
premium or not?
what I'm saying
How do
is-
you quantify that?
All I'm saying is
You
this.
can't.
Thank you.
Hold on. We charge the most.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's stop
That's the
there.
point.
We charge the most, okay? When it comes to, and he can disagree, we can all have disagreements, that's fine. But when it comes to the first line on what your property is assessed at, then they take it times the multiplier, we are 22nd out of 24. We can say, we used all these special ingredients, our cake tastes the best. But the cake testers said you were 22nd place. My
No,
point is this.
because
Hold
it's
on.
not a gauge. though,
If
Barry.
one guy's making a cake and the other guy's making a pie.
You're telling a story that's not true.
It's the only
It
gauge.
is not the only,
On your tax bill.
The
Is
only
it
gauge on your tax bill that matters is your tax dollar amount. Trust me.
The assessment,
No.
and then the multiplier. and
What
then
the
you get your
actual
amount.
dollars coming out of my pocket are.
That's right.
the only gauge.
And we're trying to figure out why they're higher.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And to
Absolutely.
do
We
that,
agree with that completely.
Right.
and to do that, the township is the littlest piece of that pie.
Absolutely. And we will always want to make it, we would love it for every municipality to lower their taxes like we did. This is a healthy discussion. All I'm saying is that I will do the work. I'm gonna get whatever you guys want. We'll get all the information. We'll get the apples to apples, okay? And next year, we will know. And we will all move forward,
There you go.
and know,
100%.
okay?
Fair enough.
So thank you for, this wasn't anything personal against anybody, anything like
I
that.
think it's healthy conversation.
I'm sorry
I don't
if
think
it-
it is.
If you thought it was.
All right, let's see, so the next item on the agenda. which-
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye, okay. So we'll move forward on the next, meeting, because we're already just a tick late, but that's okay. Let me find my agenda. All right, we'll just, we'll start with the call to order and the roll call.
Trustee Sewell,
I didn't leave.
trustee Ball,
President.
trustee Gunther,
Yes.
we know trustee Stewart is absent, and supervisor Cox.
Here. So next item on the agenda is public comments, and you can speak to anything you'd like. Just step to the mic, and if you just keep it under 5 minutes.
My name is Doug May, homeowner, taxpayer, Collinsville. I'll read from my script so I don't stumble around and bore people any more than necessary. Once upon a time, when was ever a public comment started out with that? But that's the way I start out. Once upon a time, the city of Collinsville provided yard waste pickup for homeowners, and man, did I use that service. Clearing invasive 10-foot tall Chinese honeysuckle bush that covered half of my nearly acre of property. combined with 30-year-old diseased and too closely growing black locust trees, created large piles at my curb each and every week. For unknown reasons, the city discontinued the service. For the past 10 years or so, I've been paying out of pocket for Republic services to pick up my brush and limbs. Sometimes they show up, many times like now, my Friday pickup day is still littering the curb. Complying with Republic Services guidelines, each week I max out their limit with 8 items, neatly bundled and tied limbs at 4-foot lengths. I fill 40-gallon cans with an assortment of yard waste. At this point, you're probably wondering why am I sharing this boring history with you. Derek's campaign pledge often mentioned, if elected, you will provide same services for all, including leaf and limb pickup, for all township taxpayers. Same as many, that really resonated with me. I'm a reasonable person and recognize your oft-repeated pledge to deliver more services will benefit all those living within the city limits. Unincorporated Collinsville and Maryville included leaf and limb pickup, and I recognize that's a plan that takes time to implement. Following the annual town hall meeting in April, during the regular meeting, I asked about this pledge and showed you the campaign flyer describing same services to all, with a header reading, "A Tale of Two Taxpayers." And I moved on from this after you explained that, I'm talking about you, Derek, after you explained that even though the header content addressed this very subject, you weren't the one who sent the flyer to homes and should not be held responsible. Subsequent to the April Township meeting, I found multiple episodes where you again pledged same services for all, including leaf and limb pickup. I've got sources here, don't want to bore everybody with the sourcing, but you said it during your campaign, posted on your Facebook page, on and on. And I think, more importantly than this being self-serving, I think it's safe to say many voted for you because of your leaf and limb, same level of services for all. Now that you've held the supervisor elected position for over a year, when do you anticipate implementing, fulfilling this service as promised?
And the exact same answer that I gave you at that meeting. I did not step away from that. I've been in contact with Republic Service to actually do this. They are having a shortage of drivers right now. It is in the works. That was our first year. All of us signed on that piece of paper, if you want to hold it up again. Okay, all of our names are on that.
Yep.
Turn it around.
Where's the camera?
Turn it around. There you go. Right there. What I'm saying is, I'm not stepping away from that. We have accomplished almost all of our promises in the first year. I'm still working on it. And if I have to come there to your house myself to get it, I guess that's what I'll have to do.
You may have, I don't remember campaigning to your house. I explained to a lot of people there would have to be major readjustments in our budgeting to free up the money to pay for that. It was, from what I remember at the meeting where we first talked about that, that's about a $500,000 project.
Understandable, but don't promise things you can't
I didn't
fulfill.
promise anything.
Got 4 years.
I got 4 years to get this done. Nobody said it was gonna happen this year.
Point of
Where
order.
does it say we're doing it
Point
this
of
year?
order. Point of order. This is a public comment session.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay.
Not a discussion.
Yeah.
So you're working with Republic Services to,
That's the plan right now, yes.
Okay.
So, and then the city of Collinsville. So, thank you.
all right.
All right, yeah, step to the mic.
Oh, Phil's here.
I think everybody can hear me.
I'd rather it be on,
Walk in front of the camera.
All right, well, I don't like to do that.
Okay. Close your eyes when you go by.
Phyllis Strauss, in the city of Collinsville. My sentiments are a lot like the previous speaker. But I guess one of the biggest things is, if you're gonna promise this to the people, how are we gonna pay for it? Is this gonna lower our budget? I hardly think so. is it weighed between Republic services and what we can do with our township service through the road and bridge to do this rather than Republic, because Republic is not gonna be cheap.
Right.
But I'm still waiting on this. I anticipated it as a promise, and we don't hear much about it. I'd surely like to see that this get done. When the city of Collinsville had this, I've got an acre of ground in the city. I had multiple trees, and they got so mad at me because I kept putting stuff out the road. We have a storm, and my God, I got 3 trucks to fill up, you know. They literally sent out 2 employees from the city to see that it come off my property. And I don't want to see that happen with the township either, but I, for one, I would like to see that. My only other statement is, I know we reduced our budget, $300,000, $350,000. The money that went to the road and bridge for this big project, I believe it was like $750,000 past year. And I guess this was with the foresight of the prior board to have this money sitting there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's put it this way. If you put out $750,000 to her program on a bridge that you did not assess for as this board, and yet you lower your tax base $300,000, I still show a net loss of $400,000 with the money that was put in there.
To help you understand, first, there's 2 different budgets you're talking about. You're talking about Kathy's, which is road and bridge.
Okay.
And I'm talking about when we talk about the 300,000, that is just in my budget,
That's just in your budget.
the town
Okay.
budget.
Correct.
But I mean, along with this, so them putting out the $750,000 for a road and bridge was good anticipation from a prior board, right?
It was, I know she had been budgeting for it for a while. I'm speaking on behalf of her, but we've spoken about it.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that, I mean,
And the money is all there.
sure,
You know.
I understand, but I think that's foresight from a previous board, not this one. That's good.
It's actually foresight from
Road and limbs.
Right.
the road commission.
Yeah, from Kathy's team.
I'm Babette Cox. First of all, you guys didn't achieve one thing, that's pretty good, so congratulations. Seriously, think of all the things you have achieved in your first year. Lord knows what the rest of the 3 years are gonna do. And the senior center, no matter where you are, when we were uptown this weekend, people are always talking about the great work that's done here. And the lunches that are done, that are feeding seniors. My mom's one that I had a force to come up here. She's a diehard now, so seriously, congratulations on that. I don't know who said it, and it really doesn't matter, but at the annual meeting, one of the trustees made the statement, if you don't like what we're doing, don't vote me in next time. Whether, it doesn't matter who said it, but the point is, you know, that's what you're projecting to us. And as somebody looking from the outside in, it's like, well, do you not want to be here? And if not, then step down and nominate somebody else to take the spot. And my last thing is for Pete, and I'm cheering you on here, Pete, because I don't believe for 1 second Pete says, oh, I think this is how I'm going to assess. I'm sure there's guidelines that you have to go through when you're out assessing properties. It's just like any job. We're not always the good guy, but you do have a process you got to follow. And I could be wrong, but that's sitting there listening, I'm thinking, well, he probably doesn't want to check the lights on the barn, but somebody told him he has to. So that's just my personal thought.
Lights on the barn, though.
I know, but
We're not
still.
worried about stuff that's really going to.
Right, but I mean, the point is you have a checklist that you have to follow, and if not, then they're probably gonna come after him. But anyway, my big thing was, you guys have done a great job in 1 year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
Anybody else like to speak to anything? If not, forever hold your peace. Good. Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda, and we're going to be approving, voting on items A through D. Clerk?
Right, so you have the minutes from the last meeting, and then you have the reports from Kathy, Pete, and myself.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right. No other questions? Roll call.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and this is for our closed session. And these will remain closed, I guess, is it at least 6 months, Jim?
Right.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
okay, roll call?
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next item is the approval of bills, and we'll start with the general assistance.
Right, so general assistance last month had expenditures of $329.35.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Then in road and bridge,
Town fund.
town fund, okay. I'm ready to have these out of order. Town fund had expenditures of $159,417.37.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I want to make a mention to, that amount is higher, and I was informed, there's an extra payroll in there for the assessor's office and our office, and then so there was that's why it's higher. Roll call?
Trustee Sewell?
Okay, yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Okay, so now road and bridge, they had expenditures of $204,844.10.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, roll call?
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes.
Okay, there were no expenditures for road and bridge equipment. And finally, we have the senior center, which had expenditures of $4,700.61.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I just want to mention for everybody here, so those are our expenditures, but again, just remember that we actually bring in money in our lunch program and our craft program and things like that, but we do never turn away anybody if they want to eat and they can't afford it.
Do we show that number in the P&L?
Yeah, it's under the building fund is where we got it going now. So and that fund has been growing steadily each month. We try to closely break even on lunch, and that's where a lot of the expenses are is in food. All right, roll call.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next is reports by officers and committees. Kathy, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to say that we're super busy right now. Have a lot of projects going on, have a big list for the summer, so we're working on trying to accomplish all that right now, and just really busy. I mean, I'm lucky. I have a great crew that's working hard with the hot weather.
Yeah.
They've been working hard. I found out some OSHA regulations that I'm definitely taking care of for the hot weather. Things such as the township has to provide electrolytes and different things for the employees, so I did go ahead and take care of all that, and we'll make sure through the summer that that's taken care of. But it's been really pretty miserable the last few days, but looks like right now it keeps going like it is. It's gonna be a hot summer, so. Yeah, I'm gonna get some of those too, but for right now, we have Gatorade, so something that's accessible right away. But anyway, beyond that, I did a little program at HHH. The kids absolutely loved it. I used Derek's video from the snow when he came out there, and the kids really liked that video, and so it was a lot of fun. Beyond that, we've closed some more negotiations with the permanent easements and properties and that out on Lebanon Road. We work on those constantly right now. We're trying to go out and bid early fall so that they can start doing some removal of trees and various things in the winter time to get ready for the project. So beyond that, is there any questions for me that I can answer? Or?
doing a good job.
Great.
Thank you.
Keep those people safe, Pete.
Yeah.
Pete submitted his, but he's here. You can speak, Pete.
Well, basically, I'll keep it really short. It's, obviously it's tax time, so we have a few people coming in. I will have to tell you, not that many, actually. I guess because we do a good job. But some of them are the same ones we have every year, though, so we have to take care of them, we take care of them. I'll never forget my first year. I had a woman that worked there, she was like in her, I guess right at 70 at the time, and she'd been there for years, and she said, this guy's coming in, he's gonna talk about the chicken feathers coming on his house from the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and of course, you know anything about Kentucky Fried Chicken, there are no chicken feathers. And, but by God, he come in, and that's exactly what he said, and she knew everyone coming in. Anyway, so we have our regulars, so. And most of the time, as they told me, Blair Watson told me, he said, they'll tell you once, then they'll tell you a second time, and they'll tell you a third time, and then they'll say, you know what, it's just about right. And then they'll leave. So we're doing those, and we were finishing up our books and that. They have to be in by the end of the month, although sometimes they give us a little more time into July, or that depends on what their schedule is at the county, but we'll have to close our books. But again, if there's, somebody sees something, they have a problem with their assessment, we can at least take those we can make those changes, and we ourselves take them to the board of review, and they can be changed, so.
I have a question, maybe somebody else has this actually happen, and I know Pam came out a couple of years ago, and so I have a house that actually was mine subsidence, and they deemed it that it's full mine subsidence and all that, okay? My taxes actually went up on that property. What can I do, because now basically,
Is it livable?
what's that?
Is it livable?
Yeah, it's still livable, yes.
He
Okay.
hasn't let us in yet, we've only been on the outside.
Yeah, we need to get inside of it.
Okay.
That's number one. We are probably, and I think maybe statewide, the most active on this mine subsidence stuff. And I started that when I first got in office 44 years ago. Nobody was doing it back then, but it started in Maryville. It spreads over a lot more of the town today. What we will do is we'll come out and take a look at it. We're pretty good at identifying it today. Also, the way I treat it is I try to make a wild guess. It's not a wild guess, it's an estimated guess as to how much longer that house will stand the way it is.
Well, let me ask, so the professionals is the Illinois Mine Subsidence, it's an insurance claim company. They monitored it for like 3 years with the pins and everything. And so my point
That's out of
is.
SIU.
Okay, anyway, so
My best friend ran the thing for
my
years.
point is they said that they paid and all that good stuff, but my point is that the value of the house, if somebody else has this, went down, correct? If it has major mine subsidence, or does it go up?
If it's got major mine subsidence, it's gonna go down, okay? Now, let me tell you the strange thing about this is, and we don't see this that much anymore, but some of the ones in Maryville, and I never understood why, but they actually fixed them up. And they weren't done moving it, because you never quite know when they're done moving. And they fixed them up, and then the house sells, and it sells for a hunk of money, but it was fixed up, supposedly. But then it cracked again. So we've been dealing with some of these houses 40-some years.
So it doesn't go down to zero ever? Unless
Well,
it's
no, there's
unlivable.
the land has value,
I see.
but, I've gotten a couple of them that I think we have.
Haven't we had one or two that's made it to basically about zero?
Not all of them.
Not quite all
But
the
they
way.
usually go down if,
They do go down, yeah.
come talk to you.
And-
Okay.
And
and
it's-
yours did go down a little bit
Oh, I don't know.
when I went out there, but you didn't let us in, so we couldn't do the full.
Yeah, we need to get in these houses, because it's on the inside that we find the problems, it's not the outside.
All right.
Thanks, Pete.
Senior Center Director. I don't know if she was prepared to speak, but as she's making her way up, I just want to say a few things about the Senior Center, and I want to thank Cinda, I want to thank Janice back there, and the whole team in here just does an incredible, amazing job, and I'm so proud of them. But Gabby?
It's because they have a good leader.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right, just kidding.
Thanks, Gabby. We know we do great on the board as trustees.
All right, guys. So, on Father's Day on Friday, we're gonna have a Father's Day luncheon and do a little celebration for dads. And then also, we have the country western and the country western dance coming at the end of the month. Our numbers went up 180 people this month, so that was kind of good for us. Miss Cinda always keeps the people very happy. In August, we're gonna do a fundraiser / blood drive for the food pantry, because the food pantry takes good care of us and they look out for us a lot. And that's all I got right now. Does anybody have any questions about the center?
How many lunches did you do?
How many lunches did
Yeah.
we serve this month?
Yeah.
We served 1,150.
I like to put that.
It's,
You
yeah,
can put that
it's,
in
it's
minutes.
pretty amazing. And for anybody to know, it's 11 to 12:30, and we continuously see new faces in here, so which is really good. And I was gonna save this for my supervisor's comments, but for anybody that wasn't here, we now have a bus. It's called the Volkswagen, and we just did the ribbon cutting tonight, and so proud that we worked with, it took a while to get it, and this board we've been waiting for a while, but it's here now. We're gonna be doing daily field trips, and if you know anybody out there that needs a ride in the entire township, let us know, and we'll pick them up, we'll bring them to lunch, maybe play bingo, and then we're gonna do, like I said, field trips and other things, but so more people get to enjoy the center. Trustees?
Yeah, I'll go first. Let me just follow up Gabby's comments with, was at a neighborhood graduation party this past weekend, and a senior Collinsville parent was there and made mention that their son had a great time at the senior ball, and they just thought that was a great idea, and they look forward to seeing that every year moving forward. So good job on that too.
Oh, next. So I'm gonna start with the controversial, I guess, and end with the positive. So, to Babette's comment about the comment made about trustees at a previous meeting, and I don't want to focus on the comment. I want to focus on the actions, because I've yet to have someone reach out to me, email, phone call, other than some shoulder taps. But if you have any questions on how we stand, or where we're gonna vote, or where we stand on an issue, or our thoughts on even ideas, come talk to us. Pick up a phone, send an email. I haven't had one yet. The folks that I have talked to, I've talked to in person, and we've had great conversations. So I encourage you guys to do that instead of sitting back and pointing fingers at what we have or haven't done. Reach out and talk to us. Don't use these meetings as that mouthpiece. Talk to me anytime. Pick up the phone. I'm available. I'm up here at the senior center a couple times a week. Come see me. And then the positive piece is specifically about the senior center. And if you haven't seen Gabby, I mean, this place is alive. And she is so, I don't mean to embarrass you or put you on the spot, but she senses when she knows these folks. So she understands who they are, how they act, and when she sees them come in and they don't have that right expression on their face, she's walking to them to understand what the problem is. She's not waiting for them to go to Cinda and complain about something. She's heading that off before it gets to where it should, getting to where it should go, and that director and not the people that she's protecting. So, great job.
One thing I want to point out about this bus we have, Derek and I met with the Faith in Action people the other night. This bus will pick up wheelchair-bound people, and currently the Faith in Action is struggling to get those people to and from their doctor's visits, and that is one of the things this bus will do. If you know somebody that's homebound that has a hard time getting people to volunteer, and that's what Faith in Action does. They get volunteers to move people to and from their doctor's office visits. This bus is going to do that for them. That's what part of our intent is for this bus, and to serve the community and serve all of Collinsville Township, not just Collinsville City. And as far as my comment, the only thing I wanna say about that, is what was going through my mind when I said that was, we will do such a good job, I don't think I'll have to worry about getting reelected. People will like what we've done. That's where I was coming from. Now, maybe that got misunderstood, but that is where I was coming from. That I have every confidence that the four of us, including Ashley, the way we're gonna handle this parking lot business next door, everyone will be happy when it's all done. There was a lot of consternation going on that night, and I just wanted to address the idea that, somebody had to just, this is how we're gonna do it. And, there was a lot of give and take about, how we should do it. Well, we don't really have a lot of flexibility in that, so we're gonna spend money as wisely as possible. And I think, when it's all over with, I won't have to worry about whether or not people like me or not. It'll be a good thing.
And, since you mentioned that, just real quick, because it's not on the agenda, I do want to give an update. I don't believe it's on the, yes, clerk still has comments. I understand.
Parking lot, you mean?
Yes.
It's on the agenda.
Where's it at?
It's on
Next
after
thing,
clerk's
old
comments.
Old business.
Update on parking lot project.
Oh, I have a different agenda. I have the first agenda, which printed out. Go ahead. You're fine.
Anyway, the only comments I have are, early voting is ongoing in the primary here at the senior center this week and next week, if anyone is interested in voting.
What time of day is that?
It's, they're here, I think, till 6 PM. I think they start at noon, I believe.
Yeah, 12 to 6, Monday through Friday, and then they're here on Saturdays as well.
12 to 6, Monday through Friday, and also here on Saturday. In case you didn't hear that,
Till 12.
until 12.
All right, next item on the agenda is old business. I'm glad it was brought to my attention. We're constantly changing on Thursdays and Fridays the agendas. And so we had added this one on there, and I didn't get this one. So it's the parking lot update. Great news. We had a hard time after we had a vote in the public, which I think is a good thing, that we allowed the public to be involved with the process. Let them have a say, because they were asking more than the appraised value. We understand that. But sometimes it costs money, like Irene had says before, to get what you want, sometimes you gotta pay, and it's going to add value not only to this center, but to Collinsville, for the seniors, and at the end of the day, we got grant money. It's a very positive thing. They were unwilling still to sell it. So we've been trying through a realtor, they still wouldn't sign. So then the wife went to court and got a court order from a judge to actually make the husband sign to sell it. So, and I want to thank Bruce Matea and Bill, the Matea Law Firm, for really heading that up and pushing it along, because it wasn't going anywhere, and it was looking like we were going to have to go a different path. So now we're back to, hopefully we're going to be signing on it very soon. We'll involve Oates and Associates. They're going to be doing the survey, and we're back to our timeline. Also, we reached back out to the county. Actually, they reached out to us, and instead of the $125,000, we applied for $175,000 grant. So knock on wood, it's going in front of the county board. That will be approved for that, which is more than we expected, and that's a huge dollar amount. So, and then with the donation, this whole thing might cost, just like the air conditioning units, very, very little. And so we're getting our tax dollars back to Collinsville. So that's my update on that. Moving on to new business, appointment of supervisor pro tem. And I texted you, and I texted, and so we just kind of change them each year. But if there's any discussion on who would like to do it, I asked Clint later in the day if you'd like to do it this year, and you said sure. But if the board doesn't have any problems with that, that's kind of what we, okay.
Good.
Did we get a motion?
We got a motion.
I'll second it.
All right,
Good.
roll call.
Trustee Sewell?
Yes.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Thank you.
Abstain, yes.
He'll do it, he says he'll do
You can
it.
vote yes. Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is appointment of FOIA officers, and Jim, our clerk, actually deals with a lot of this, and so Jim, I'm gonna let you.
Right, so what I'm recommending is that this is just an annual thing, housekeeping, to reappoint myself, Pam Mumper in the assessor's office, and Jennifer Keller in the road and bridge office, and basically we've all got the training, so.
And they're all okay with that?
Well, they don't have any choice.
I'll make the motion.
I'll let somebody else make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Hey,
Roll call.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
Yeah.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the township road district budget.
Oops.
Nope.
Oh,
We
that's a
got
different.
We got the resolution for the,
Questions of voters.
questions of voters. Good luck explaining it.
Okay, all right. This is actually, in my opinion, it's very, very positive. So, Good Energy came to us last year, and they spoke with also Mayor Short. Thank you, Kathy. It's energy aggregation, and to try to make it as simple as I can, it's for Ameren customers, but they purchase the energy and they do it as in bulk with, say, 10 different cities and towns, okay, to get the energy cost at a lower rate. Right now, Collinsville and Collinsville Township is one of the only places in the entire area that doesn't have this. And so coming up here in the next month, folks are gonna see, and you might have gotten letters on your Ameren bill, that your bill is going to go up in quite a bit. So this is just a question to put it on the ballot that the voters can then decide in the unincorporated areas if they want to do this. Now, I want to say that I'm proud that Collinsville Township is being a leader, because in the meantime, Collinsville City, to my understanding, has reached out to this company and they say, we want this too, because this is going to save our taxpayers money. And you know, with inflation and everything, this is a big deal for people. So this is just a resolution to put it on the ballot for the unincorporated citizens of Collinsville Township. That's it.
Motion to approve resolution 2022-R09.
Okay,
I'll second that.
roll call.
We don't get to discuss this?
Oh, sure, sorry.
Okay, remember the last time we talked about this? And I asked the guy, okay, so if this aggregation gets passed and you have a problem at your house with your power, right now, if you are with Ameren and the problem is inside your house, it's your bill. If it's outside your house, it's their bill. If this aggregate company is your provider, it's always your bill.
Just to put it on the ballot.
You also have the option, if you don't want it,
You can opt out.
Yeah, you have to,
It's-
but.
it's called
you
an
You
have
have
to-
to vote for it first.
And
it lost.
No. To my understanding, this
I
is
thought
my
we put it
understanding.
on
I'm
the
not
ballot.
trying to, no. This was just to, if we put it on the ballot, that this is the company that we're gonna use, and this is the same one that's used all around. Because Jim and I had the same discussion, and we talked to the gentleman on the phone. Just
I
to,
remember we
It
voted.
was on the ballot and it was voted
And it
down.
voted down like 80-20.
no.
The difference
That
is,
that was
prior
way before.
Prior
us.
to our board.
For information, before the guy came in and
Right.
gave us
Right.
a presentation, that was the whole point of that guy coming in.
and it was never the board's decision as a up or down vote. It was the board's decision to allow it onto the ballot,
Onto
which
the
is,
ballot.
which is exactly what we're doing here. We're gonna allow it onto the ballot.
Post information.
Well, the last time though, what we did, we basically entered into an agreement with them that we would work with them. This is the next step to actually, now that they've decided they wanna do this for November, I actually have to take this, if we pass this, to the county clerk to get it placed on the ballot. So they don't have the authority to do that.
Right.
We have to do that by resolution.
Right.
But this is only a request to officially put it on the ballot for
Correct.
the public to vote yes or no.
Yes.
Correct.
Again, post information since session that we had with the folks from the company.
Yeah, and they're gonna be doing all the marketing and let the voters decide. And Brad, then we can get the information, and as you, as a voter, then you can vote yes or no. This board is not, saying yes or no right this moment. Now, there might be certain individuals that, as a voter or as a leader in the community, would say this is a good deal for you or a bad deal for you, but this is just to get it on the ballot.
Yeah, this is not whether Matt
That's
believes
right.
in this.
That's
This is-
right.
This is, I want to let the people vote
Vote.
if they would like it or not.
That's right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
No,
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Better check this.
Approval of town road budget.
Okay, so we are on that one.
Now we're on the approving the budget.
Okay.
I got road district first.
All right, so we got road district, this is the approval of the road district budget and appropriation for the fiscal year 2022, and ending on March 31st, 2023. We can do any other comments, it's on the agenda, if there's any comments or any discussion before we vote.
Were there any, I just want to know, just by glossing over it, were there any material changes that we need to be aware of? Since the last time we saw it, there's nothing material changed.
No,
Okay.
no, I haven't
I'm
changed
good.
it.
It's still 3,296,100,
Yeah,
correct?
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Sewell?
Yeah.
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is approval of the township budget and appropriation ordinance for this year, 2022, and ending on March 31st, 2023. And that is all the budgets that we discussed, the assessors, the general assistants, and this is the town budget. And you can ask any other questions or discussion.
And again, would be the same question. No material changes since the last things we've seen.
Since the last things when I presented them to you 30 minutes ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is this the 1,804,810? I got the new one and the old one.
This is, let me get the exact amount here. This is, what I have is 1,769,410.
That's what I have to.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll motion to approve that budget.
I'll second.
Roll call. Or any other discussion?
Trustee Ball?
Yes.
Trustee Gunther?
Yes.
Trustee Sewell?
can I abstain?
Yes, you may. Supervisor Cox?
Yes. Okay. And last but not least, my comments, just make them short. Again, I'm proud of the job that this board has done. I'm proud of the job of the staff has done. We're really coming together. And I appreciate all the volunteers. We have quite a few of them here tonight. And we're actually on a very positive trajectory with everything. I mean, I think we haven't accomplished every single one of our goals, but we're getting close. And so anyway, like Matt said, if you ever have any questions or concerns, I'm up here almost every day enjoying the lunches, but feel free to reach out and yeah.
And just one more comment on that. I mean, we are a reflection of you. You put us here, so come talk to us.
So, thank you all for coming. Enjoy the night and stay cool.
Motion
Motion
adjourned.
Okay.